WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, often reviewing rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I have something here in this, I'm going to call it a fairly ugly tin. All right, now this is the Decanter Collection. This is Signatory Vintage. This is a single malt Scotch whiskey. This is the generic tin can they use here for all of their Decanter series. Now, this is the decanter. I'm going to put it like this, first of all. Now, this bottle here, compared to a normal bottle. So, let's just go for a normal bottle here real quick. Now, yeah, I went for a Lefroy. Wow, I went for a quarter cask. This is a normal bottle, all right? Green, I know, but normal glass bottle. I think it's called a Tolly or something like that. I'm not sure. This decanter costs about 15 euros more than the standard bottle for us as a consumer. Now over here in Germany, we're going to have about 30% markup for the importer. We're going to have about 30% markup for the retailer. And on top of that, there's another 19% we have for the VAT, which is value added tax. All right, so this bottle costs much less than 35% of the original price that you pay in the shop. All right, and it's not taxes over here that does it. Yes, you have to pay alcohol tax on this as well, 13 euros, 3. So we're talking here about 5 euros is the price, 4 something for the price of the alcohol tax. But the 19% is even more for the VAT, and the markup for the retailer as well for the importer, each about 30%. All right, so, and that's why this bottle that might have cost, instead of 50 cents, 3.50 euros is then so much more at the end. All right, maybe just 5 euros. Now, this is an 8-year-old Ben Nevis. Now, Whiskybase 243738, the Decanter series, vintage 2014, so distilled, bottled to 2023, so it's 8 years old according to the label. Oloroso sherry butts, 46%, non-chilled filtered, and at natural color. Well done, Signatory Vintage. But Signatory Vintage isn't doing anything that isn't natural color and natural filter anymore. Now, I have a good friend at the Signatory Vintage, the Andre Haberecht. He has a channel also here, Whiskey Tales in German, talking all about the whiskey industry. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful insider information there. If you can watch it in German or have it automatically translated or interpreted into English here for you, go for it. Now, I would love to see this. Oh, by the way, the official recommended retail price, 59.90. So imagine this whiskey would have been in that very tall normal bottle. This would have been 45 euros, and I'm sure over here in Germany, the on-time retailers undercut each other. So I think we could have had the juice in this bottle in a normal unchilled filtered collection from Signatory Vintage for 39.90. All right, so I'm paying 15 euros more for the decanter, which it's a sore spot. Now, I'm going to give 3 suggestions on Signatory Vintage as one of the best according to the Online Scotch Whisky Awards. Oz was 3 years in a row, 3 years running. They are the best independent bottler of the world of single malt Scotch whiskey, and I'm in the opinion that's probably true. All right, but I'm still going to give them 3 suggestions of things to do better. And my first suggestion concerns this type of juice. If the bottle is going to be under 100 euros, don't put it in fancy bottles. We have something called the flower vase, that wonderful, wonderful in the tin can there, and we have that wonderful, and the decanters. Don't waste our money. We will, if we're paying under 100 euros for a bottle of whiskey, we want the juice. We don't necessarily want the show. All right, that's my first recommendation. All right, so what am I going to compare it to? So I hope I remember to put this in the video here. This is Whiskybase number 187767. This is from Elixir's Distillers. Now they actually have built a distillery, or are building a distillery in on Islay. They bought Tullamore, so they are distillers now. This used to be the Whiskey Exchange. All right, so this is the single malts of Scotland reserve casks. This is a 2013 vintage, 2014. This was bottled 2021, and it says on the label 6 years of age. That is impossible. The calculated age has to be 7. All right, 48%. And over here, we're going to pay about 50 euros for this. We paid about 50 euros because it came onto the market 2021. So this has been laying around here in my shelf now for at least almost 3 years. It's interesting. Alexia, with their single malt of Scotland, they went for 48%. Here, Signatory Vintage went for 46%. Both are unchill filtered. Both are natural color. Both are Ben Nevis. 60 euros recommended retail due to the bottle. Here, just a typical, a little bit of brown bottle, but hey, 48%. Why not? This is a sherry. This does not say anything. Exclusively aged in oak. All right, on the nose, that's actually fairly good. There's a spice, there's a clove, there's sherry berries. I like that. I did that. Not cherry berries, sherry berries. A little bit of forest berries in there. A little bit of wood. That's fairly good. Now there is a little bit of a plasticky moment. You open up a package, it's packaged in plastic, and a little bit of that first whiff of plastic hits your nose. But it does dissipate fairly quickly. Not bad, not bad. Now, I'm not the biggest fan in the world of Ben Nevis. All right, I don't think I've had a single Ben Nevis in my life yet that has actually wowed me. They're like good, but there wasn't that wow moment. This one, at the very beginning, it's like you're at the distillery. It's new makey. There's a little bit of lactic acid going on in here. There's a little bit of yeast. This doesn't blow my socks off, all right? But this is a fair, good representation of 7-year-old Ben Nevis, in my opinion. This is maybe a good representation of a 8-year-old Oloroso sherry influenced Highland product, is what I'm going to call it, not necessarily Ben Nevis. All right, so cheers. There's two things that pop out immediately. Number one, there's a little bit of smoke here. There's a little bit of smoke more towards the end. And number two is there's a white pepper note that goes from the beginning to the end. And yet, this is interesting. I thought this was going to be a video where I just kind of traded, it's okay, next. I did a bottle share, and I have to send out the bottle. And so I'm doing the video so I can do the bottle share, finish up the packaging of the bottle share. This was not something that I was going to, I'm really looking forward to. It's like, oh, okay, good. I got to tell the story about why the bottle is so expensive. But this is a wonderful opportunity for me to think also about where does that smoke come from. Now, according to the nice little Malt Whiskey Yearbook, we have here Ben Nevis. There's an interesting fact. Next year, 2025, they will celebrate their 200th anniversary. And so that's going to be big. If you go to the website at the moment, you go to www.bennevisdistillery.com. This is the beginning of April. It says here, Ben Nevis Distillery, Fort Williams, new website coming soon. Visitor Center is now open all year, Monday to Friday, 9:30 to 5 p.m. And June, July, and August, Saturday and Sundays are included. Tour inquiries and bookings at tours@bennevisdistillery.com, telephone number, blah, blah, blah. And what I found really, really interesting is client warehouse payments. You can send money now via MasterCard, Visa. I guess you have to make sure people can pay for their warehouse dues or getting the barrels out of the warehouse. So that's the important part of even if you just have a holder as a website here, that's that. But according to the book here, actually Ben Nevis is producing more or less at capacity, which is 2 million liters of alcohol a year, and around 50,000 liters of this will be heavily peated, 40 ppm. So this is not heavily peated. This is not that. What we have here is we have the feints and the tails. So when you do your cuts, you have the middle cut, which is the heart, and before that and after that, you collect those, you put them into a feints receiver. And that faint receiver, you put the unpeated in there, and often you put the peated in there as well. And what happens is in the next distillation run, they actually put that faints receiver back into the mash and then they redistill it. And if you had done, I'm going to say, I don't know if this number is true or not, in the next 10 distillation, or maybe 20, or even, I don't know if it's 50. But if you do distillations after that with not peated whiskey, you get a peated smoky moment. And I think that's what happened here. Have you ever had a... Let's leave that in there. Have you ever had a bruichladdich and you're swearing, you can swear it's not peated, but yet you get peat. You get smoke. Where is that from? I'm fairly certain, not 100% certain, gotta talk to someone at the distillery still, I'm fairly certain that's where it comes from. They do not have separate feints receivers for peated and non-peated whiskey. Some German distillers now have that because that was always a problem, and so we don't want that. And so by the time you flush out the system, it's going to take quite a few runs to get rid of all that residual peat. And that's what I'm getting here. And it's not bad, but it's there, and I wasn't expecting it. This is actually, there's some leather, there's some clove, there's some spice, there's a little bit of herbal moments going on here. This is much, much better than I thought. And the whole time I'm just thinking, imagine this bottle at $39.90. 40 euros. This would have been a bargain. But instead I have to pay recommended retail price $59.90 because they put it in a fancy bottle, which I don't need, and nor do you. We don't need those fancy bottles for things under 100 euros. Now, people are paying over 100 euros, presents, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I don't care. That's not the whiskey we drink. That's the whiskey we show off with. So, now, second recommendation is we don't need these fancy bottles. And the second recommendation we have is give us some great products at 46, even 48%. I know Signatory Vintage has their unchilled filtered collection. I know they're pushing right now the 100 proof series a lot, doing interesting products at a very fair price. This would have been very interesting in that unchilled filtered product. So give us good products, 46, 48%, and don't forget, not everything belongs in a 100 proof range. That was suggestion number 2. And suggestion number 3 is my suggestion. You can have your own suggestions. Would love to have them down in the videos. And I'm sure Signatory Vintage is going to read some of those suggestions because I'm going to recommend it to them and say, hey, you watched my German video. Did you see the English video as well? Look at those recommendations. Also, I suggest that you create more and more bottlings, not because I want them, not because I think they're great, but I think they sell, is find young artists, allow them to design a label, buy that label design from them and put it on there, because there's so many people out there that are just marketing geeks. Anything that is they're the victim of marketing. They go, oh, pretty label, have to have. What type of juice? I don't know, pretty label. Yeah, they like pretty shiny things. And that's what I think with the Signatory Vintage needs to do more. Maybe have a series of maybe 6 or 8 or whatever. Maybe have, I have one new label that I'm going to review, shipwrecks. AI created shipwreck. You don't even have to go to artists anymore. Just let AI create shipwrecks or imaginary lighthouses or I don't know, mermaids. Mermaids not good. I'm talked about on one of the podcasts why basically most of the labels are not this, that, and that, because everyone can have a politically shamed, it's not politically correct to do mermaids. So lighthouses, and so on and so on. Why not? And make them beautiful. It doesn't have to be gold. It just has to be a very nice image. And I'm sure they're going to sell even more bottles than ever before. If you put water in this, the smoke, it's actually like a campfire ash. Have you ever caught fish at the river, made a campfire, gutted the fish, filleted it, put it on the campfire, and then the ash, because of the wind, just caught onto the fish, and you had to rub it off a little bit, and still that was that ashy moment? That's what I'm getting here. It's not fishy. I just never been camping and never had steaks with me or poultry or turkey or whatever, and had that. But like that barbecue ash moment is what I'm getting here. This is a C plus whiskey. I was not expecting it. Value for money, even at 60 euros, it's a solid C. If it had been 40 euros, it would have been a C. Would have been a C plus, even maybe a B minus. Who knows? Mm. There is a little bit of youth there. There is a little pepper moment, but it has a nice spice. It has that nice clover, and everything just interacts perfectly, even though there is that pepper there. Well done. A little bit of leather for a 8-year-old product here. I must admit, I'm very pleasantly surprised. Just as a comparison, real quick here, the elixirs. It is Ben Nevis, but it is not a sherry butt. Hmm. Hmm. A little bit more of a complexity, a little bit old school, a lot more of that lactic acid that I dislike here. But it has a long finish. This has a long finish as well. Not the same peppery note, but a little bit. Huh. Maybe that's a little bit of the character Ben Nevis that I'm getting here that I'm not perfectly familiar with. I've had half a dozen Ben Nevis in my life, but so far nothing's wowed me. Good. Almost very good. Acceptable. So, what's your favorite Ben Nevis? What's your tips, suggestions, and recommendations for Signatory Vintage to improve their fabulous standing, great standing as an independent bottler of whiskey? Thank you very much. WhiskyJason here. Don't forget to share, tell, and like. See you real soon. Bye-bye.